responses. Yeah, Peter Russell goes on to say, the shift from left to right brain activity also causes the release of endorphins, the body's own natural opiates. Thus, it is possible to become physically addicted to watching television, a hypothesis borne out by numerous studies which have shown that very few people are able to kick the television habit. Let's look at a few of the techniques that are used. One is substitution. You know, instead of saying communists, you'll hear words like Reds, and if you check this out and then go to a typical Bill O'Reilly rant, you'll see this over and over again. And talking about unions, they might use the word bosses, see, to denigrate that. Like it used to be when you said Germans, you said Huns, or even worse, in the movies they always use the word Nazi. There's a big difference between a Nazi and a German. First of all, most Nazis aren't German. And secondly, all Germans are simply not Nazis, but you wouldn't know that if you watched the propaganda movies from that era, and even today. If you want to demean Jews, you call them Yids. If you want to avoid talking about consuming or drinking, you say enjoy. So this substitution is very key to note. Here's an example of the ability to bypass the circuitry of the subconscious mind. You see one thing. We're not going to give you the answer now, but at the end of the talk, let's see if you can find the solution of the meaning, the hidden meaning in this. Oh, when I know to free hate, to sever no one. So if you have a pen and pencil, you can write that down, or just try to mentally remember it before we move on. And at the end, we'll see how many people got the solution. Because there's a hidden meaning in that sentence. Another trick is selection. The deliberate selection of the information and content that the corporate spin doctors and ad men prefer, and the willful avoidance and or elimination of that which does not serve their agendas or those of their elusive directors. I have on the forum, on the War on You page, I believe, an article from Democracy Now!, Amy Goodman, in which it shows you absolute. They even had a video that ran with this, but the article is enough. And it shows you that every single newscast that came out about the terrorist attacks of 9/11 was pre-scripted and pre-organized before the attack. Ready to go, pre-packaged. No doubt about it, non-negotiable. Repetition, as we heard one of the researchers say, that this is extremely important. The mantra-like repetition of the meme, the slogan, the jingo, ensure that it's insinuated by unthinking participators. This really works. Keeping the world safe for democracy, axis of evil, one world, new world order, stronger America, hope, justice for all. Here's another little test. I'm going to show you a series of images here. There's something that they have in common. Okay, so focus on these images and see if you can work out what they have in common. Anybody see it? I'll go back. These are just normal advertisements, some of them for small organizations. But again, let's not focus on the merchant, let's focus on the advertisers. What's common about all of those? Yeah, the colors. Absolutely. And we could do a whole thing on color. Why, somebody will then ask. Oh, by the way, just an anecdote about XP. Did you know that that was Constantine, Emperor Constantine? My research is one of the chief atonists. He's, of course, officially known as the official creator of Christianity, anyway. But XP was found on his coins. I've got the images on the websites and what have you, on the Irish Origins website. But the reason for those colors is because they're spiritual. They turn up in sacred art, occult art. Here's a Tibetan stupa. You find that in India, those colors are very much connected to spiritual evolution. They're partly alchemical, partly religious and mystical. On the right, you have the rose cross of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Nothing evil in the symbol itself, by the way, just for those who still haven't worked that out. But these colors are, again, found in where? The esoteric spiritual tradition. Where do you find them? On bars of soap. Hyperbole. The exaggerating and asserting things as true or actual without proof or genuine concern for contradictory viewpoints or voices. Try going on Bill O'Reilly. Everyone agrees that Zesta is the best. And then the idea of what? Authority. But we have first demonization, the cunning manufacture of a faux rival or nemesis to engender fear and trepidation. This makes the consumer grateful, compliant, and ultimately narcissistic, as well as psychologically safe. As we said, if you've got a demon banging the gates, three-headed monsters, saber rattling, and all sorts of monstrosities shaking the gates, you're going to feel very secure where you are. And this is what's perpetually going on. Years and years and years of talking about diversity and global this and global peace. And now look, then the next 5 minutes they're talking about war without end, a perpetual war against terror. And this idea also can be manufactured. Your rival, so-called, is actually manufactured to take the opposite point of view. There's no choice between two things, by the way. And then, of course, a crucial one, authority. My doctor says, the experts agree. Insinuating what? That the work is done and that we have the absolute truth. One that's good for ourselves and everyone. Believe only the expert, not oneself. Or don't believe anyone who doesn't purport to be an expert. Turn off your own mind. We'll do your thinking for you. Allegiance. This is huge. It very much affects the young. Because it includes loyalty and identification. Human things that bond between human beings is now being transposed into inanimate things, objects. The best brand image is the image enabling the consumer to project himself into the product so that what he buys is a projection of his own supposed traits. In other words, he inwardly believes he's buying a part of himself. Look at how this works. I mean, it's contradictory, isn't it? But if you've been raped psychologically, psychically, you'll literally give more energy. Energy of your work, energy of your body, energy of your ardor to win back, to buy back what you have subliminally thought is a part of yourself, a missing part of yourself. What greater deception can you possibly imagine? And then we want to talk in the next breath about I'm seeking for enlightenment and social harmony. And we'll see a few examples of this. The cigarette ads, and let's consider the extreme versions of this in the post-9/11 rhetoric of identification with the flag, identification with the nation, identification with every tyrant that comes on television. Then, of course, a partly genuine idea is reward. But the way the media handles this is the Freudian way. It's the pleasure principle. Regressing to the child. There's nothing wrong with getting paid for work well done, is there? But when, again, it's taken to extremes, then it's all the emphasis in advertising is on your narcissistic pleasure. Again, that idea that you really have differentiated. You're separate from the group because you're identifying with a brand and you're getting a personal reward. And let's really understand what I mean when we talk about collectivism for a moment. It's in the Disciples of the Mysterium article. Do we ever think that when we say, what do? You go, well, I work in a 7-Eleven, or I'm a taxi driver, or no, I'm a corporate guy, I'm an architect. Right? Or I'm a social worker. Or I'm a, whatever, teacher. Do we ever really understand that thousands upon thousands of other people can say exactly the same thing? What kind of a description is that? Half of our names are repeatable. See, we don't even see it. It's so close to us. But Heidegger and Nietzsche brought this very point up. Maybe not in the words I'd use, but they brought it up. And they said that if you're asked, who are you? Which is a very powerful philosophical question, often asked, that's what you'll get. Well, I'm an artist, I'm a soccer player. I'm a chess master, whatever you want to name. Millions, potentially millions of people can say the same thing. We don't lose any sleep over this. What about the man who says, I am das Ein, I am the man who cares about existence? Slightly different, wouldn't you say? And that's what Heidegger's saying you have to be. That's how you have to self-define yourself. Now, why do we even need treats for hard labor or endurance? Because